I call this
Hello, everyone.
meeting number 2727 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Health. We recognize. I call the meeting to order. Please take your seats. Thank you. We recognize that we meet on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. Today's meeting is taking place in a personal format and pursuant to standing orders. Before we continue, I will remind you all about the instructions with regard to your phones and your earpieces and interpretations, etc., and that you don't speak until the chair recognizes you, etc. Put up your hands if you want to speak. Now, again, I just wanted to say that we are for members in the room. This meeting is requested pursuant to Standing Order 1064 to discuss the March the 12th, 2026 production of document motion. So we are meeting to respond to the 106. Before proceeding, I want to inform members quickly that on March the 10th, the clerk circulated a budget of $7,250 for the meeting with the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addictions, and a budget of $14,500 with the study of Bill C-224, an act to amend the Food and Drugs Act. Now, will the committee adopt those budgets? Everything's okay? Thank you very much. I now want to open the floor to members to discuss the order of today, which is the 106.4 motion requesting documents. So, any hands up to speak? Dan?
Thank you, Chair. For several hours of committee time over the last month, Liberal members of this committee have been filibustering the document production order motion moved at this committee on March 12th. They have been blocking these documents, avoiding transparency, and keeping the truth from Canadians. This motion covers several documents, but two documents in particular are clearly why the Liberals have staged this cover-up. First, there is a $250 million prescribed IT scandal. Canadians deserve to know how $250 million was spent before the program was terminated. This is a scandal that could be far bigger than ArriveCan. Second, there is the audit of the Canada Dental Care Plan. If this program is being managed properly by the Liberals, they should have no problem producing the audit and letting Canadians see the facts. After some discussions behind the scenes, I will move the following motion in the hopes that it will move us closer to a resolution. And I would ask that instead of the Liberals filibustering today and reading from the computers, that we work collaboratively with us to pass this motion so Canadians can get the transparency that they deserve. So I'd like to, and the motion reads, that the committee order the production of the following complete and fully unredacted documents. A, the audit conducted by MNP that assessed the design of the financial controls framework for the Canadian Dental Care Plan. B, all briefing notes, recommendations, and documents provided to the Minister of Health or the Minister's Office regarding the October 17, 2025 change to reimbursement criteria for laboratory fees under the Canadian Dental Care Plan. C, the number of Canadian Dental Care Plan patients who received prior authorizations for treatments involving laboratory fees before October 17, 2025, but received reduced reimbursement after that date. D, all correspondence between Health Canada and Sun Life Financial regarding the change to reimbursement criteria for laboratory fees under the Canadian Dental Care Plan. E, all analysis conducted on the impact Canadians' dental care plan will have on dental schools in Canada. F, all applications and corresponding signed agreements except with Quebec, including appendices and annexes for the substance use and addictions program since 2020, as requested by the committee on December 9th, 2025. G, all applications and corresponding signed agreements except for Quebec, including appendices and annexes for the Emergency Treatment Fund since 2020, as requested by the committee on December 9th, 2025. H, all applications received by the government to administer the Vaccine Injury Support Program, including all recommendation documents provided to the Minister's Office on the applicants. I, all documents related to the prescribed IT, including the 2017 contract between Canada Health Infoway and TELUS Health, all amendments, renewals, and change orders since 2017, all intellectual property ownership agreements, the 2026 termination notice, and all clauses, provisions, or records relating to terminations and penalties. A list of all payments made by Canada Health Infoway to TELUS Health since 2017, and all recommendation documents provided to the Minister's Office regarding prescribed IT funding, operations, and termination. J, all agreements between the Canadian Blood Services and Grifols relating to the manufacture, processing, or supply of both blood and plasma-derived products, including all amendments and related agreements. K, all quarterly reports and underlying data submitted to Health Canada's Office of Controlled Substances by provincial or territorial ministers of health, except for Quebec, pursuant to subsection 56(1), class exemption for the urgent public health needs sites, and that these documents be submitted unredacted in both official languages to the committee clerk no later than 2 weeks after the adoption of this motion, and that any failure by the government to fully comply with this order be reported to the House forthwith. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other hands up to speak to this issue? Yes, Maggie, then Helena. Elena, then Maggie, then Elena. Elena Conance, yes.
Did you say I'm first?
No, Maggie had put her hand up. I saw your hand up immediately after Maggie. Sorry.
I did get on the speaking list.
Go ahead,
Clerk
Maggie.
didn't acknowledge me. Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, what are we doing here? Dan, your staff is talking to the clerk. Yeah. Can we suspend just to review the motion?
Sorry,
Can we please suspend for a quick moment to review the motion?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, thank you.
The meeting is suspended. We have Ms. Sidhu's hand up. Ms. Sidhu?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we received the motion. It is look like it's a similar to what we had most of the motion is a similar 2 weeks. So I do want to spend some time on this because I think section I of the motion carries more weight than it might initially appear, Madam Chair. The more closely I have reviewed this, the more concern I
Point of
have
order.
had.
It was Maggie and then me.
Yeah, the
I'm
speaking
in the
list.
Speaking order.
We are now talking to the motion as amended, so I have a new list.
Maggie and me. Remember, I was second, clerk?
It was Ms. Chi and then you?
Yeah. Miss Cheese, sorry.
Chair, Madam Clerk, no.
Well, I have a list when we were
Yeah.
debating this motion originally.
Yeah.
It was Ms. Sidhu, then Ms. Chi, then you.
No, we're not on that list.
No, it's the list for the motion. Yeah, there we go.
The clerk that before Ms. Chi, Ms. Sidhu had put up her hand and the clerk had recognized it. It's on my list. I
Point
have
of
to
order.
go. Excuse me, let me finish speaking, please. Miss, I have to go on what the clerk tells me she saw. I did not see this. The clerk said she saw it, therefore she put it down in the order of the raised hands.
Chair, you said that it was Miss Chi and then myself. And
That's-
because you happened to look over and see Miss Chi first.
That was whom I saw. The
Yes.
the clerk of the committee looks at hands up as well and helps me to keep the list. She saw Miss Sidhu first. I had not seen Miss Sidhu, but her name was written down here by the
She
clerk.
started speaking.
I know, so Miss She cannot finish speaking. Miss Sidhu is first on the list. I'm sorry. I'm going by the list. I have to follow the
list
procedure.
changed.
This is the procedure.
Okay.
I'm going to can spend 2 hours debating it, but this is the procedure. This is the list that's given to me by the clerk.
I'm sorry. And
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm sorry, Chair, but the reason I need to challenge this is because just 10 minutes ago, you said that I raised my hand and you said, I'm sorry, I saw Ms. Chi first and then Ms. Conant, and the clerk agreed on that. And then Ms. Chi started speaking and then Mr. Major made the motion.
The clerk agreed. I agreed because I saw the clerk had seen before me Miss Sidhu. I explained that. I am going by the clerk having seen. The clerk and I work together, and the chair works together to look at raised hands, to look at people who put up their hands first. And that is said when I explain in the beginning of every meeting. I explain that we, as the clerk and I, try to organize hands up based on what we see.
So you're saying-
the clerk saw Ms. Sidhu. I did not.
So you're saying that at the beginning of the meeting when you said Ms. Chi was first and then
Yeah, I hadn't
was
seen
second,
Ms. Sidhu.
you made a mistake.
No, I made the mistake. Yes.
Point of order.
Okay, that's fine.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Major.
So Ms. Chi moved to recess. To suspend.
Anybody could move to.
But she was speaking at the time.
Anybody could move whether
I
they were
guess-
speaking or
guess
not, Mr. Major.
we are
What
challenging
you
the chair in that-
challenging here? On what?
I'm challenging the chair because I believe the order was Ms. Chi and then Ms. Konatz.
what
So I
you-
challenge the chair on that decision.
What you believe is not an issue here. The clerk of this committee took names down in the order in which she saw them. I did not see her order. I just saw Ms. Chi and Ms. Konatz. So the clerk is saying that, according to protocol, the first hand up was Ms. Sidhu. Are you challenging the clerk?
Well, I'm challenging the chair in that
Well, the
decision.
chair
that
is
she
going
said-
according to the clerk because at the beginning of each meeting, I say the chair and the clerk work together to look at the hands up in order, and we try to do this as reasonably as we can. So, Ms. Sidhu, continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I was talking about the new motion moved by Dane Measure. I do want to spend some time on this motion because I think Section I of the motion carries more weight than it might initially appear. The more closely I reviewed, the more concern I have had. Let me clear, our government support transparency. That has been consistent, and it guided the work of Health Canada and organizations like Canada Health Infoway. But transparency need to be approached carefully. It must be balanced with the privacy consideration, legal responsibilities, the integrity of the system Canadian depends on every day. And in my view, this motion does not strike the balance, Madam Chair.
Point of order.
Asia.
And,
We just reviewed the Hansard and the video. You did degree. You have the ultimate authority. You did say that Ms. Chi and then Ms. Konatz was coming back. So you did say that. That was your ruling, and I challenge that decision.
It was not a ruling, Mr. Major. As I explained earlier on, before every meeting, I read out very carefully, and I can read it out to you again, that the clerk and the chair together work to recognize hands that are up. The clerk put Ms. Sidhu down first on the list. I had not seen it. I had just seen Ms. Chi and Ms. Konatz. Now, you want to challenge the clerk of the committee, which I have never heard before, but you can do it. I take the clerk's word for it. And I said Ms. Chi and Ms. Konatz because that's whom I saw. The clerk then pointed out to me that Ms. Sidhu had her hand up first, and I am going with the clerk's recommendation because I have to trust the clerk.
Point
we
of
have
order.
to trust the clerk.
Then-
Well, if you let me finish speaking before you interrupt me, I might then be able to have answered what you're going to ask in the point of order. So I'm telling you that I am accepting the clerk's recommendation, and I took responsibility for saying I did not see Ms. Sidhu written down by the clerk, and so I only did what I saw, which is Ms. Chi and Ms. Konatz. So the clerk is telling me Ms. Sidhu's hand was up, and I'm going by the clerk because that's whom the chair has to depend on for recognizing people if she sees a name before I did. And that's what I'm doing. And I am not going to challenge the clerk on this.
I will say that, Chair, that at the time that Ms. Chi was speaking, you allowed her to suspend the meeting. And at that point, why did not you or clerk decide that she was out of order at that point? And then we suspended the meeting for 10 minutes after you said that I would be speaking second. And then you suspended the meeting and Ms. Chi first. So we do have it on Hansard. We do have the video.
Well, I've explained to you that I did not see Ms. Sidhu, but I may tell you, anybody, you could have raised your hand and asked to suspend the meeting while Ms. Chi was speaking. You don't have to have the floor to call for suspension. Anyone can call for suspension. So it didn't depend on Ms. Chi being in the speaker. Anybody could have. You could have, Mr. Major could have had, Mr. Blanchette, John Carr could have had, anybody could have had. The call for suspension is taken by anyone. So it was called. Ms. Chi called it, even though I then realized that Ms. Chi was not up there. So there you go.
Yes,
So
yes,
what's in Hansard, and I take responsibility for not having seen Ms. Sidhu written down
making
by the
that
clerk.
error. Okay.
Thank you. And I don't intend to challenge the clerk at all. because she keeps her eye on everything in an impartial manner, even though you think I may not be impartial. I try very hard to be impartial. Now, you have a point of order, Miss, on this issue?
Oui, Madame la Présidente. J'aimerais simplement...
I would just like to play the video of our meeting today at 5, 10, 20 seconds, confirming the order of speaker.
With this order, be reported to the House forthwith. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hello.
Any other hands up to speak to this issue?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Maggie, then Helena.
Maggie, then Helena. You need
Mr.
to-
Jonca Blanchard, I don't know if Blanchard Jonca, I don't know if you were listening to me. I said that those were the hands I saw. The clerk had seen Miss Sadu, and she'd written it down, and I had not seen it. And I take responsibility for not having seen that. So it doesn't matter
No.
what I said. I was wrong in the order of speakers.
Point of
Juste
order.
bien comprendre,
Thank you.
Madame la Présidente. Donc,
But understand, you and the clerk don't see the same hands. That's what you're telling me.
We both try to see the hands in order, and we work together to get a list that's fair and reasonable based on when we saw the hand. She saw Miss Sidhu, and I hadn't seen her.
donc, juste bien
Thank you.
comprendre...
That's what I've been
Point
trying
of
to
order,
explain
Madam Speaker.
all along, and I don't know if I am not speaking a language that anybody understands. All I'm saying is that the clerk had seen Miss Sidhu. I had not. I called the names of the people I saw. I was wrong. That was not the order given by the clerk that she saw, because we cannot both look at the whole table at the same time. So we try to get both sides in our view, and that's what I saw, and that was what the clerk saw. And now, so that what you want to play in terms of your video or whatever is really, I'm accepting that I was wrong in that. And I don't know how many times you wish for me to say that, Mr. Blanchette-Jonca, but I have said it many times already. So
Point
we're
of-
going with this to do.
Point of
Come on,
order.
Ms. Chi, you have something on this issue?
Point of order. I just wanted to mention that Mr. Blanchard-Jonca was playing a video into the microphone. I believe it's not very good for the translator's headset. So just want us to be mindful of that.
Thank you. Sonia, go ahead.
To go again from the top. So, Madam Chair, I do want to spend some time on this new motion that is moved by Dane Measure. I think Section I of the motion carries more weight than it might initially appear. The more closely I seen that, the more concern I have had. I just want to be clear on this. Our government supports transparency, Madam Chair. That has been consistent, that it guides the work of Health Canada and organizations like Canada Health Info Way. But transparency needs to be approached carefully. It must be balanced with the privacy consideration, legal responsibilities, and the integrity of the systems Canadian depends on every day. In my view, Madam Chair, the motion does not have that balance. Starting with the section I on prescribe it, this is actually an initiative we should recognize as progress. It is a national e-prescribing service that improves communication between doctors and pharmacists, reduces errors, and strengthens patient safety. It is a part of a broader effort to modernize Canada's healthcare system. However, the scope of what's being requested here goes well beyond typical oversight. Madam Chair, it includes contracts, amendments, renewals dating back in 2017, intellectual property agreements, termination details, payment records, and even internal advice to the Minister's office. This is not a narrow or target request. It is very, very extensive, Madam Chair. We need to consider what fulfilling a request of this magnitude would entail. There are clear issues around commercial sensitivity, especially with the partners like TALUS Health. These agreements often include property releasing that information without proper safeguards could compromise future negotiation, and partnership. There are also security consideration. We are talking about a digital health infrastructure system that Canadians rely on. Making detailed internal information about these systems, public could create vulnerabilities. Another major concern is the inclusion of internal recommendation documents. Public servants need to be able to provide candid, unfiltered advice that depends on a level of confidentiality. If that is removed, it risks affecting how decisions are made and not in a positive way. Turning on the agreement between Blood Services and GERFOS, it is important to remember that Canadian Blood Services operates independently. It is a not-for-profit organization working with the provinces and territories to manage Canada's blood and plasma supply. This system is essential. It supports patients across the country, Madam Chair, who depends on plasma and derived therapies for serious and often lifelong conditions. This partnership, including those with the companies like Grifols, are key to maintaining a stable and reliable supply. A request for all agreements and related documents raises legitimate concerns. These arrangements can involve sensitive commercial information and international supply chains. In some cases, they may not fall entirely within federal jurisdictions, so we must be cautious not to undermine confidence in a system that Canadians trust to be managed safely and professionally. Finally, on the Section K, this deals with the data shared and Health Canada in urgent public health context, including all the managed safely and professionally. We all recognize and severity of that crisis. The data referenced here goes beyond summary reports, includes underlying data sets. That also raises serious concerns about patient privacy, data protection, and how that information is handled. It
There is
also
a member
touches on a
speaking.
relationship.
I would like it if people would actually listen to the member speaking. There has to be some order, decorum, and respect in this place. So I'm just speaking to that.
It also touches on relationships with provinces and territories who share this data with the expectation that it will be safeguarded properly. It could impact future cooperation. Something we cannot afford in the midst of an ongoing public health challenges. When I look at these sections together, what I see is a very broad request for large volumes of sensitive information, Madam Chair, to be provided unredacted and within a short time frame. Madam Chair, I do not believe that this is a prudent approach. We have a responsibility to ensure that oversight is conducted in a way that protects the system. We are responsible for that. And
here, Ms. Sidhu, because people are speaking in the room. I would like to call order to this meeting, please.
Madam.
And that applies on both sides of this room. I would like some order. Thank you. Ms. Sidhu.
Madam Chair, I do not believe this is a prudent approach. We have a responsibility to ensure that oversight is conducted in a way that protects the system. We are responsible for and avoids intended consequences. For these reasons, I have a significant concern with the motion as it stands, and I am unable to support it in its present form. That is why I moved to amend the motion, that the motion be amended in part I to delete all text, the following text, the 2017 contact between Canada Health Infoway and TELUS Health, all amendments, renewals, and change order, all intellectual property ownership agreement, the 2026 termination note, all clauses, provisions, records, rating, termination, and penalties, a list of all payments made by Canada Health Infoway, TELUS Health since 2017, and all recommendation documents provided to the Minister's Office regarding prescribed IT funding operations and terminations.
This is your amendment?
Yes, Madam
You
Chair.
are wanting everything to be deleted
Yes.
as of what? All documents?
Yeah.
The whole paragraph 1 to be deleted?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right.
Before-
So we
Just
have
very
an
clear.
amendment on the floor.
Yeah.
Yes.
As I have mentioned previously, because I think it's important that we take the time to really walk through what this motion is asking for and why I felt it was necessary to bring forward this amendment. Because when we look at this motion from my colleague opposite, in its entirely, it's clear that this is not a narrow or targeted request. It is a very broad request. It is a request for a large volume of documents, as I mentioned, across multiple programs, across multiple partners, and in many cases, documents that are being requested fully unredacted. And that is where my concern is, because transparency is important, but it has to be done in a way that is responsible. And Madam Chair, I do want to return again the part I, because this is really where my amendment is focused. On prescribe it, the motion asks for a very wide range of documents. And the 27 contract with the TELUS Health, all amendments that are renewed since that time, all intellectual property ownership agreement, and a full list of all the recommendation document provided to the Minister's Office regarding IT funding, operations, and terminations. Madam Chair, when you put that all together, this is not this is a full contractual and financial structure of a national digital health system being requested completely unredacted, and that raises serious concerns, Madam Chair. Concerns about commercial sensitivity, concern about intellectual property, and concern about how releasing that level of details could affect Canada's ability to work with the partners in the future, Madam Chair, because these are not simple documents. They involve negotiated agreements. They involve property system, that they involve relationships that we rely on to deliver services to Canadians. And that is exactly why I push forward my amendment, to make sure that we are not putting at risk information that could have broader consequences beyond this committee. Because once that information is released, it cannot be taken back.
d'information, Madame la
And the
Présidente.
impact is not just immediate. It can affect how organizations choose to work
Excuse me, sorry.
with
You
the
have
government of Canada going forward.
have a hand up.
It's good to understand the amendment, but it would be nice to have it so that we can analyze it. She's been talking for 10 minutes, and I understand that she wants to give a lot of explanations. However, it would be nice to have the amendment before she starts explaining it. To me, it's logical.
I don't know that there's anything to hand. It is requesting deletion of a full paragraph, so there's nothing to hand. It's just delete the paragraph. And that paragraph is paragraph 1, I gather. Ms. Sidhu is asking to be deleted.
A point of order,
So
Madam Chair.
that's basically what she's speaking to, why she's asking for it to be deleted.
Point of order, Madam
It's
Chair.
obviously, yes, Ms.
Yeah,
G.
I think Maxime has a good point. We can pause to send in the amendment if that's possible.
Didn't
Can
hear
we
you.
suspend so the amendment can be sent in from Ms.
Excuse me, somebody keeps turning on my speaking voice. When the speaker is on, I can't hear anybody.
Can you hear me now?
Oh.
Okay. Is this better?
1, 2, 3,
Okay.
test.
So yeah, I think Maxime has a good point. If we need to suspend the meeting and send in the amendment, I think Ms. Sidhu can do that from her office.
Ms. Sidhu's amendment is pretty simple. She's asking to remove
Point d'information, Madame la
paragraph 1, paragraph I. That's all. There's nothing to send.
Sent.
Sorry, yeah?
It was sent. Amendment was sent.
Oh, was it? Okay, I didn't get it, but there you go. The amendment was sent.
I just read it.
So, yes, thank you.
I'd like to speak on the
Your name is being put down now, Ms. Conans.
Okay.
Your name is in the list to speak to the amendment. Yes, it's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Point of order, Madam Chair. My colleague here has been interrupted many times. There is a clerk, there is a chair. Can we just please respect my colleague's speaking time? No, I'm acknowledging what just happened. I think I have the right to call out behaviors that I don't see fit that interrupts your colleague's time. Yeah. Thank you. I just want to
moving
Thank you.
a point of order. I have to know why their hand is up, Ms. Chi. I have to recognize a hand that is put up. I don't know what it's being put up for, so I have to listen to it. Go ahead, Ms. Sidhu. You were speaking.
Chair, thank you, Ms. Chi, for raising. It looked like I'm in a kindergarten class. Okay, because okay, Madam Chair, now, please, if you can just make announcement again so everyone can listen what I'm speaking. Okay, so because once the information is released, it cannot be taken back. And the impact is not just immediate. It can affect how organizations choose to work with the Government of Canada going forward. Now, Madam Chair, as I have mentioned previously, when I looked beyond PARD, I see the same issue repeating itself through the motion. This is an organization that is working with the government to implement a national program, and the correspondence can include operational decisions, system processes, and sensitive information related to how the program is delivered. So there are programs that work directly with the communities. They work with organizations on the ground, and they serve people who are often in a very vulnerable situations. Applications and agreement in this context are not just administrative. They can include financial information and information about population being served. So again, we have to approach that carefully. We're asking for application and recommendation and documents related to the sport program, and this brings us back to the issue internal advice, because the recommendation documents to the minister's office are part of how decisions are made. They reflect candid evidence-based advice from public servants, and that system works because those conversations are protected. If we start routinely pulling all of that info into...
I cannot hear what is being said by Ms. Liu despite having my earphone on, because there's talking in the room. If people wish to discuss something, can you go down to the bottom of the room where it doesn't disturb the chair's ability to listen to the meeting? Yes, Mr. Jokat, Mr.
Madame la Présidente, je suggérais qu'on suspende.
Yes.
Could we suspend the committee so that we can take time to analyze the amendment, the sub-amendment? So this way there will be more silence in the room, I think.
There is no amendment to analyze. It is removing a complete paragraph entitled paragraph 1
C'est une
of the
modification,
amendment.
Madame la
So I don't understand what you...
It's an amendment. It's a change.
She's speaking to her reasons for doing so, which she is allowed to do with any amendment that any member moves. They're allowed to speak to that amendment and explain why they're doing it. And then the debate that's going to happen after that is going to be a debate on the amendment and not on the motion, the original motion. So this is how it works. I'm just explaining it to members so everybody is clear. Ms. Sidhu has the floor.
Je vous demande simplement.
Madam Chair, I am just asking to suspend so we could have some time to talk amongst colleagues.
Can you please not my speaker so I can hear what people are saying? Let
Simplement vous demander si on peut suspendre le...
I just wanted to ask if we could suspend so we can have some quiet time and talk about the amendment among colleagues.
I just need everyone in this room to know. Well, we have an hour meeting as notified by the. I know you did, Mr. Major, but it was during a suspension, so the meeting was up.
Well, how many resources? Can you ask the clerk, please?
Yes, I will ask the clerk.
You're going to pull that one, eh?
No, I
Well,
didn't pull
because
that
it was
one.
suspension.
When you
I asked you before, but that's good. Let's recess.
Just don't let people answer when you speak. The clerk, the minute you asked me that, I asked the clerk to find out, and she did. So don't say I'm pulling something on you. Well, I'm just pointing to her to speak, and you're not allowing me to do that because you keep speaking. Let the clerk answer the question.
Point of order.
Your question about resources did not happen during the meeting, Mr. Major. It happened outside. But I did you the courtesy of trying to get that information. So don't ask me about what I'm pulling, Mr. Major. Please, not get paranoid around here. Let's have respect for each other. You asked me, I asked. So now, clerk.
Point of order. Point of order.
The clerk is going to respond to this.
Okay, point of order. This is a trend I've been noticing. I noticed the exchange between Mr. Mazier and the chair, and I've also noticed the interruption that my colleague Ms. Sidhu has received throughout her speech. The level of disrespect that I've noticed in this particular meeting is really up there. So I just want to remind folks, we are all honorable members here, and we are all part of the committee. At the end of the day, we're all working together here. So let's please respect everybody here, including speaking members, including the chair, and just respectfully asking that, because the level of behavior I've noticed here is really, I've witnessed better behavior. So I implore folks to follow the best decorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chief. Now, the clerk informed me that there are resources available until 7:38. It's up to the committee to make a decision about how they want to do this meeting, but that's the information you requested, Mr. Major. Now that you requested it formally, I'm giving you the answer. Okay?
Thank you.
Good.
Formally, thank you very much, Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you, clerk.
Okay, so Ms. Sidhu has still got the floor.
Thank you.
Oh, but you wanted somebody called for a suspension. Maxine, you called for suspension? You still want it? Meeting suspended. Ms. Sidhu? Ms. Sidhu was speaking when we suspended. I'm sorry, Mr. Major.
Over to.
So we now have a list. Mr. Strauss?
Thank you, Chair. I think we've been here for over an hour now. The only person we have heard from is my colleague, Ms. Sidhu. She was reading a prepared statement, it appeared to me, for an hour. I think that qualifies as a filibuster. I'm going to take a little bit of time, maybe a couple minutes now, to just ask, like, why? Why are you putting us through this? I'm an intensive care physician. I spend a lot of time with people at the end of their lives. Not one of my dying patients has ever said to me, I wish that I spent more time becoming a member of parliament so I could go to Ottawa, so I could filibuster, waste everyone's time, so that I could hide a $250 million boondoggle from the taxpayers of Canada. Like, I honestly implore each of you in this room, the members and the staff, like, what are we doing here?
I allowed you to speak because I thought you were speaking on the amendment. Okay, go ahead. Speak to the amendment.
Yeah, the amendment is to delete our investigation, this committee's attempt to procure documents related to a $250 million boondoggle. There's no question whether it's a boondoggle. It is a program that has been canceled and the taxpayer got nothing. $250 million is the same amount of money that was wasted corruptly, fraudulently in the sponsorship scandal that brought down the Paul Martin government. So I did my best to listen to Ms. Sidhu's prepared remarks. I couldn't make much sense out of them. I'm not sure if...
Excuse me, Mr. Strauss. I would like to caution you about accusing Ms. Sidhu of something. Some people do not speak off the cuff as well as you do, Mr. Strauss, and they sometimes need to read the notes they made on a debate. You've seen it in the House. People stand up and read a piece of paper in the House. It's not a prepared document if it's prepared by them to speak to the issue, and that was what Ms. Sidhu did. So let's not jump to conclusions, please, and be careful how we cast aspersions.
Thank you for the kind words initially, Chair. I don't think I was making an accusation. I think you said it's if the document's prepared, it's not a prepared document. Okay.
I said people in the House use paper to speak all the time.
I
just said some people may not be able to speak off the cuff as well as you can, and they prepare their documents. So the issue of whether she was reading from a document is not a real issue. So if you wish to speak to the actual amendment, I would entertain it. If not, I will move on to the next person.
Yeah, of course I want to speak to it, and I'm not making an accusation because, as you say, it's totally legitimate to speak from a document. But when you do it for an hour, it is filibustering and it's obstructing this committee's very important work and the very important motion that's before us. So to go back, $250 million is what was blown on the sponsorship scandal. The Gomery inquiry, which the Paul Martin government convened, looked at 1 million documents to get to the bottom of what happened. So I heard my colleague during her remarks say that this is not a narrow motion or it's too expansive. We're not looking for 1 million documents. We just want to see the contract. We don't want this to happen again. Do my colleagues on the other side know how many hospital beds could have been made with $250 million? How many school lunches could have been prepared with $250 million? All of these things that they lecture us for the last 11 years, they want to get done. You could have done a lot of them with $250 million, but they blew them, and we just want to find out why. I overheard other strange things in those prepared remarks, like this could have to do with correspondence to vulnerable communities. There is nothing about vulnerable communities in the part of the motion that she is trying to delete. There's nothing about correspondence in the part of the motion she's trying to delete. We listened to her for an hour, and the things she was saying do not comport with the reality of what we were asking for. We were just asking to see the contract. And I think more and more Canadians are going to wonder, look, there's 11 points in this motion. Why is this the one point that they will not?
Mr. Strauss, there's an amendment on the floor. Why the amendment was put is not the issue. What the amendment says is the issue that you're speaking to, not why. I'm sorry. So speak to the amendment or against, for, against, whatever, but let's not go ahead with thinking about why people did the things they did. That's not really our agenda item.
If we're going to vote for the amendment, are we going to have to think about why we're voting for it or not?
You're asking why was she spending so much time speaking about an amendment that you did not agree with. I want you to speak to the amendment or against it, not the whys.
I believe she was arguing that we vote for her amendment, and I'm arguing that we vote against the amendment, and my reasoning includes why the amendment exists. So I think questions of why are pretty relevant. So I think as they spend more and more of their resources, of their one precious life, in trying to hide this contract, I think more and more Canadians are going to be asking why. And so I just urge them to stop this. Like, let us see the contract. That's it. We have another hour of committee time. We can vote on it at any point. It would be a great pleasure, even if they just explained why they're doing this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss. I now go to Mr. Major. Mr. Major, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. And just to follow up on Mr. Strauss's points, like $250 million. And I really liked where he was going with as far as what else we could have done with that, especially when it comes to healthcare in Canada. We've got 6 million Canadians that do not have a family doctor. We've got 13,000 physicians that have been brought into Canada through this failed Liberal immigration program, that they came to Canada to actually practice and serve Canadians and customers, and the Liberals blew it. And we could have used the $250 million to get them trained up, get practice-ready assessment programs working, things that we would do for our health, to make sure that our health system worked. And I am like Mr. Strauss. I cannot imagine why the Liberals are filibustering this and trying to cover this up. There's $250 million. Everybody knows about it. $250 million was spent on this program, and it was just canceled out of nowhere. So I would like to move a sub-amendment at the very bottom of the motion and add these words: and that 1 3-hour meeting to be held no later than April 24th, 2026, with 1 hour each dedicated to 1, TELUS, 2, Canada Health InfoWay, and 3, government officials in that respective order for testimony on prescribed IT.
Can you send that to everyone? Because I am trying to write it down as you speak.
They have it.
Okay, good. So the clerk, will you make sure everybody has this? Sure. All right. So you, Mr. Major, is that all you have to say? You want to continue speaking? Okay, then I go to Mr. Eyolfson.
Sorry, can we, point of order, Chair, can we just quickly suspend it to get the wording of the amendment? Yeah, thank you.
Suspend. amendment on the floor by Mr. Major, and the sub-amendment is obviously in order because there is language left in Section 1 that he's adding to. So we will talk to the sub-amendment of Mr. Major. Anybody's hands up to discuss Mr. Major's sub-amendment? Do you all get the sub-amendment? Okay? Everybody got it? All right, so good. Now, any discussion on the sub-amendment, or shall I call the vote? No. Any discussion on the sub-amendment? No. So can we call the vote quickly, Chair? On the sub-amendment? Yes. I'm sorry, you're not the only person. I hear you. I heard you the first time. I give you my answer. I heard you the first time. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I call the vote.
Yeah, call it. Thanks.
Okay. Ms. Chi.
Yes, okay.
We're voting on the sub-amendment presented by Mr. Major, Ms. G.
I vote yes.
You vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Mr. Elson.
I vote yes.
Mr. Baptiste.
Yes.
Ms. Sidhu. Mr. Allman.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Ms. Conans.
Yes.
Mr. Major.
Yes.
Mr. Strauss.
I abstain.
Okay. Monsieur Blanchet-Jonca.
Oui.
Is it abstaining? Carried.
The vote is carried. We have everyone voting and one abstention. So we have 8 votes and 1 abstention. So now we go back to Ms. Sidhu's amendment that has been sub-amended. All right, now, any discussion on Ms. Sidhu's amendment? Any debate? No? Okay, so we are ready to vote on Ms. Sidhu's amendment. All right, so we're voting. We're going to call the vote on Ms. Sidhu's amendment.
Ms. Chi.
Yes.
Mr. Elson.
Yes.
Mr. Baptiste.
Yes.
Ms. Sidhu. Yes. Mr. Allman.
Yes.
Ms. Conans.
Yes.
Mr. Major.
Yes.
Mr. Strauss.
I abstain.
Monsieur Blanchet-Jonca.
Je vote oui.
Yes, 8.
So the motion carries, or the amendment carries, with yes, 8, and 1 abstention. Thank you. So we now, okay, so that's it. We now have an amended motion here. We're now, yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Conan.
Thank you. I'd like to make an amendment to today's motion, to this motion.
Which motion?
The motion.
The whole
right now,
motion?
The whole motion.
The big motion?
The whole motion.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm hoping it'll go UC. And what I'd like to do is in section F, I'd like to cross out except with Quebec. Section G, I'd like crossed out except with Quebec. Section K, I'd like except from Quebec. Got that? Crossed out except from Quebec.
I'm sorry, Ms.
Oh, I can start again if that'll help.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm just looking at which one of this whole motion that I'm dealing with now. I have the one motion was moved by Matt Strauss on Thursday, March the 12th, and under section J, there was nothing that said except for Quebec. So I'm looking for your new motion that you moved today that was amended by Mr. Major. So I'm trying to find where that is, if I can find it. I know what you're saying, but I don't have it on the motion I have in front of me. The motion I have in front of me was a one originally moved by Mr. Strauss. Mr. Major brought in a different motion today, and can I see it, Dan? Thanks.
Chair,
Thank
may I make a
So why don't you
suggestion? So we can just say every time we see except Quebec, we can just remove it instead of going clause by clause. Yeah. Yeah. Chair.
I heard you, Ms. Conanza. Mr. Major is pointing something out to me for a
Which
second.
letters were they? Say F, G, K.
F.
There's this
She did
Quebec.
it. F, yes, except for Quebec.
G,
G, except for Quebec.
K.
And K, except for Quebec. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. And one more?
One more. In the second to the last paragraph, I would like to strike out "and in both official languages."
Excuse me, I cannot hear because conversations are going on around me. Please, if staff wishes to come and speak to the clerk, can you do so in a manner that I can pay attention to what's going on? I'm sorry, Helena. Go ahead.
In the second to the last paragraph, I'd like to strike out "and in both official languages."
That doesn't say that here, okay? In both official languages. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Chair.
That is it.
An amendment on the floor. You all
Just
know
you
what it
see
is.
that? You see that?
Excuse me, I'm asking the committee, and not just one member. So can the committee tell me you are clear on what Ms. Conan's amendment is? Yes. Okay, so then we're going to either
Just you
debate this
see that.
amendment or call a vote on it. Is there a debate on this amendment?
Can you see that?
We asked the committee if we could have unanimous consent.
Mr. DeMasia. Is the committee all in agreement with this? There's no debate? Okay, so we have unanimous consent. Thank you.
Chair, I would also like to clarify that all documents will respect the Privacy Act. Do I need to seek unanimous consent on that one as well?
Need to move it first. Because you're moving an amendment that said all documents respect the Privacy Act. So please move the amendment.
Yeah.
And then, can you repeat it, please?
All documents will respect the Privacy Act.
Is there any discussion and debate on this amendment? All documents will respect the Privacy Act. Seeing no hands stuck up,
Is it that she's adding it? Or?
You're adding it, Ms. Chi. Just let's be clear about what we're trying to do. Thank you. So basically, we're adding, Ms. Chi's adding to this that all, please repeat it.
All documents will respect the Privacy Act.
Any debate on this amendment? Seeing none, we'll call the vote on it.
Can I seek unanimous consent from the committee?
You want to speak to the amendment?
Seek unanimous consent from the committee. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Ask for a vote. If everybody agrees, it's called unanimous consent. That's what I'm trying to do. People do not say they're seeking unanimous consent. The chair asked that question. I'm sorry. Please. Okay. All right. So now, I'm hearing no debate. So now I will ask the clerk to see, do we have no debate? Is everyone in agreement? So we have unanimous consent. There's no vote called. Any further discussion with this document we have in front of us? No, none. Therefore, we need to vote on the motion in front of us as amended. So, any debate on the motion as amended? Or shall the motion as amended pass? Pass, no debate. Therefore, we will call the vote on the amendment. Yes, Mr. Strauss.
Sorry, after the vote.
We will call the vote on the motion as amended. Everyone in unanimous agreement? All right, so therefore, the motion carries as amended. Now, Mr. Strauss.
Madam Chair, I believe if you seek unanimous consent for the following motion, you will find it. That the chair requests both 1, Health Canada, and 2, Manitoba Chief Medical Examiner to provide the committee with the final reports and findings of the investigations into the recent deaths of 2 individuals at Grifols Plasma Collection Centers in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and that these be provided within 14 days of the adoption of this motion.
Just like to inform the committee that we got the documents that you asked from Grifols, and they are confidential. Just so you know that, and I'm going to have to ask you how you want us to deal with the Grifols confidential documents. We also have you also want Health Canada to come and speak on why they found no fault with Grifols. Is that it?
Yeah, this is to ask for the Health Canada and the Chief Medical Examiner's reports to be delivered to the committee with separate documents.
You don't want them to appear. You want them just to
This is
be
a document
delivered?
production motion.
Okay, just sent to the committee. Is that there unanimous consent on that? Good. There is, so that's something the clerk will make sure happens. Any further business? Ms. Chi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I move to adjourn the meeting?
I was going to just do that right now if I didn't have anybody that wanted to say anything. The meeting is adjourned.